Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia. It's the Top 5 Tuesday edition of the program. We come to you live, as always, from the Lee Company studios here in downtown Columbia. Chris Yao here, Chris Yao there, Wade Neely here. Chris, it's Top 5 Tuesday. We've been hanging out this morning, getting quite a few things done, having a good time. And now it's showtime, my friend. We got a lot to dive into. We got a big show lined up this afternoon.
Man, I'm always fired up for Tuesday because Top 5 Tuesday is one of my favorite things that we do. Obviously, getting to dive into one of the topics that is obviously relevant time-wise, but never really irrelevant in talking about championships and that sort of thing. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to the conversation with Doug FEINBERG about last night's WNBA draft, which was huge, of course. And it's Tuesday, which means we're talking to Chip Walters, and we'll talk about all the things behind me, I guess, all the Middle Tennessee stuff. So
yeah, a lot of Blue Raider chatter coming up. That'll be in hour number 2. As Chris mentioned, we got Doug FEINBERG, our good friend from the Associated Press, breaking down all of the
third week in a row.
Yeah, he's basically a recurring guest at this point. We break down his previous visits. We talk about the end of women's college basketball, and then we also dive into, again, last night's WNBA draft, as that got a lot more attention than usual. So we chatted with Doug about that. Obviously, we got Braves and MLB chatter coming up, including this day in Braves history. Got a little bit of a grab bag of topics also in the second hour. And then, as Chris mentioned, it's always fun to close it out with Top 5 Tuesday. Going to be talking championships, but with a kind of a twist. We like to put our own spin on things, so stay tuned for that. That's coming up at the end of the program. And I'm going to hold my tears. I mentioned them later in the program. I'm going to hold my tears on the Astros struggling versus the Braves last night till the MLB segment, partner. But there were tears last night, and I appreciate you. Mo, I can understand with him being out of pocket this week, but I can appreciate and thank you for not rubbing too much salt in the wound last night.
Hey, look, you know, it took long enough for the Braves offense to come around, and so we'll just – because, again, it's just one game. You know, after we win the series, maybe calm down. I mean, you may not get as much leeway if we go ahead and take the second one today, and then the third one is what it is. So better just hope for not a sweep. That may be your best bet.
Okay, let's just settle it down. I will hopefully not be subjected to that. But ladies and gentlemen, we kick off our show as we do each and every single day. It is time to bring you yesterday's results and today's schedule. It's time for the rundown.
This is the rundown.
We go to the Diamond Baseball High School action last night. Middle Tennessee Christian 4, Battleground Academy nothing. Blackman 2-1 winners over Oakland. It was Brentwood 10-1 against Centennial. Christian Community down Zion Christian 3-2. It was Clarksville 7, Rossview 2, which is a pretty big win considering that Clarksville came in at number 3 in this week's TBCA poll. Rossview number 2, and it appears the Wildcats took that personally.
Yeah, big win for them.
Dixon County down Clarksville Northwest 8-7. Columbia Academy, full coverage on Main Street Murray and MainStreetPreps.com. 12-2 the win there for Richie Estep, and the Bulldogs, Estep earning his 700th career victory with that one. Congrats to him. Davidson Academy a 10-0 win over Donaldson Christian. Eagleville 9, Huntland 2. Clarksville Academy 20-2 winners over Ezel Harding. Nashville Christian falls to Friendship Christian 13-3. Franklin County downs Giles County 12-2. It was Good Pasture 11, Mount Juliet Christian 2. Richland blanks Hampshire 15-0. Antioch whips Hunter's Lane 16-4. It was Independence 7-5 winners against the Admirals of Franklin. John Overton 8, Hillsboro 0. Henry County bats alive 22-0 winners over Kenwood. Kirkwood falls to Springfield 11-3. Lawrence County a 10-0 winner over Marshall County in district play, and Lewis County downs the Mount Pleasant Tigers also 10-0.
Big rivalry showdown yesterday. It was Loretto 4, Summertown 2 as baseball scores continue. Macon County was a 4-3 winner over Portland. Tullahoma 6, Murfreesboro Central Magnet 4. Providence Christian was a 7-2 winner versus Grace Christian Franklin. Ravenwood put up 11 runs, knocking off Page. Page scoring just 3 in the loss for the Patriots there. Culleoka defeated Santa Fe 4-1. Columbia knocked off Shelbyville 8-2. Spring Hill with a big win 8-3 versus Warren County. It was Summit 6, Nolensville 5, Watertown 10, Jackson County nothing. Webb School 4, Franklin Road Academy 1. It was West Creek 7, Clarksville Northeast 2. Sorry, folks. East Nashville capping our baseball scoreboard yesterday. They pick up a win 19-8 versus Whites Creek. Softball scores from yesterday. Blackman kickstarts our scoreboard rundown with a 12-0 win over Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Summertown 6, Columbia Academy nothing. Cornersville wins a big rivalry showdown. The Battle of Buford Station goes in favor of the Lady Bulldogs as they defeat Richland 4-3. Davidson Academy knocked off Clarksville Academy 8-0. Nashville Christian wins at 8-7 versus DCA. Henry County put up 20 runs, a 20-0 shutout versus Dixon County.
Henry County won baseball and softball yesterday, a combined 42-0.
On Jackie Robinson Day.
Oh, wow. How about that? That is remarkable.
That is a lopsided scoreboard, to say the least. Hats off to Henry County yesterday.
How about
Mercy.
them Patriots, man, goodness. Lebanon, the 5-2 win over East Robertson. Softball continued. Good Pasture 7-0 winners over Ezel Harding. Friendship Christian 15-4 over Gallatin. Giles County blanks Marshall County 2-0. It was Green Hill 3-2 winners over Joe Burns. Lawson 10-0 over Hume Fogg. It was Zion Christian 16-1 against Riverside Christian. Clarksville Christian 24-4 winners over South Haven. Hendersonville downs Station Camp 9-4. Lawrence County a 14-9 winner over Tullahoma. Watertown downs Smith County 15-1. White House a 10-1 winner over White House Heritage. Zion Christian 18-4 over Riverside. On the pitch, Giles County put up the scores, didn't they? That old no one ever scores in soccer does not count today. Giles County 10, Marshall County 3, Columbia Central blank Spring Hill 3-0. Watertown 2-1 winners over Upperman. Franklin Christian was a 5-2 winner over Zion Christian. On the ice, the Penguins defeat the Preds. More on that in just a moment, 4-2. And the Braves, as Wade said, 6-1 winners over the Astros.
Tough luck for the Stros last night. To our schedule we go now. These are baseball games, and these are games beginning at 4 o'clock. McGavock traveling to Cane Ridge this evening. John Overton is at Hillsboro. Hunters Lane will take a trip to Antioch. 4:30 contest. Pope John Paul II is at Brentwood Academy. Whites Creek is visiting East Nashville. Siegel visits Innsworth tonight. MBA is at Father Ryan. Webb School is at Franklin Road Academy. Kenwood visiting Henry County this evening. CPA traveling to Lipscomb Academy. It'll be Stratford at Maplewood. Tennessee Heat are visiting Mount Juliet Christian. Columbia Academy will visit the University School of Nashville. At 5 o'clock tonight, Joe Burns traveling to Christian Community. Hampshire is at Richland this evening. Laverne traveling to Cookville. These games now beginning at 6 p.m. Santa Fe is at Culleoka tonight. Clarksville Northwest will visit Dixon County. Davidson Academy is at Ezel Harding. Giles County will hit the road to take on Franklin County tonight. Cheatham County at Harpeth. Lewis County traveling to Mount Pleasant. Rockvale is visiting Riverdale this evening. Springfield will host Kirkwood tonight. Centennial will host Brentwood in the first of our 6:30 contest this evening. Also at 6:30, Shelbyville making the trip over to Columbia tonight. Independence is at Franklin. Good Pasture traveling to Friendship Christian. Providence Christian is at Grace Christian Franklin. Station Camp will visit Greenbrier tonight. Lawrence County at Marshall County this evening in a big district contest. BGA is at Middle Tennessee Christian. Ravenwood and Page will tangle tonight in what should be a good showdown. Lebanon is at Smyrna, and capping our 6:30 games tonight, it's Spring Hill visiting Warren County.
At 7 tonight on the Big Diamond, it's Hendersonville at Beach. East Robertson hosts White House. Hume Fogg's at Lawson. Gallatin goes to Mount Juliet. Portland welcomes Macon County, and Wilson Central's at Stewart's Creek. Loretto and Summertown on the back half of that two-game set is at Summertown. White House Heritage is at Trousdale County. Tullahoma hosting Murfreesboro Central Magnet, time unknown, also unknown times. Eagleville at Huntland, Watertown at Monterey, Summit at Nolensville, and Clarksville at Rossview. To the small diamond. Little softball action. John Overton's Antioch at 4:30. It's Ezo Harding at Clarksville Academy, Pope Prep at Innsworth, and at 5 o'clock you can catch the Nashville Lady Knights at Ezo Harding as well. I don't think that's done. Nope. I don't know who Ezo Harding is playing, nor do I know where or what time. So that should be fun. Maybe it's a JV game. I don't know.
Could be.
Davidson Academy's at Friendship Christian at 5. Again, trust but verify. Mount Pleasant is down at Loretto, Watertown at Monterey. Page welcomes Summit. Ravenwood's at home against Franklin. Greenbrier goes to Station Camp. Summertown is at home against Lewis County. Christian Communities at Clarksville Christian at 5:30. You got Gallatin at Beach, Siegel at Blackman, Clarksville at Northeast, Columbia Academy at home against Middle Tennessee Christian. Franklin County's at Murfreesboro Central, and Springfield is at Rossview.
6 o'clock games now. Cornersville traveling to Culleoka tonight. It'll be Wilson Central visiting Laverne. Rockvale will take a trip to Oakland this evening. Mount Zion. Marshall County will visit Zion Christian there. These games again beginning at 6 p.m. 6:30 window. Cookeville is at Smyrna. Nashville Christian is at Good Pasture. Lebanon is at Stewart's Creek. 7 p.m. contest tonight at Springfield visiting Rossview. Coffee County at Columbia. We do not have start times, but we can tell you Houston County is scheduled to travel to McEwen tonight. Trousdale County is scheduled to visit White House Heritage. To the pitch we go. Boys soccer contest tonight. A game that was scheduled to begin at noon. Well, I don't have a result yet, but Valor Collegiate was scheduled to travel to MBA at 4:30 tonight now. Lead Academy is at Lipscomb Academy. 5 p.m. kickoff between Middle Tennessee Christian, who's at BGA this evening. DCA is at Davidson Academy. Ezel Harding is at Friendship Christian. Mount Juliet is at Gallatin tonight. Nashville Christian is at Good Pasture. Columbia Academy will travel to Grace Christian Franklin. Rounding out your 5 o'clock kickoffs, Knowledge Academies is at Independence Academy. 5:30 kickoff tonight between Providence Christian and Franklin Road Academy. FRA is hosting that one this evening. 6 p.m. start times for Clarksville Northeast at Clarksville. Brentwood Academy is at Father Ryan. McEwen at Harpeth tonight. Lawson at John Overton this evening. Hickman County visiting Lawrence County tonight. Culleoka is at Loretto. CPA traveling to Pope John Paul II. Stewart's Creek at Smyrna. Springfield taking on Sycamore. Sycamore hosting that contest, which begins at 6:30. Also at 6:30, Zion Christian at Boyd Buchanan, FC Boyd Senior Christian. Hope I got that right. At 6:30.
Not Boyd Buchanan.
Not to be confused with Boyd Buchanan. Thank you for that. And capping our 6:30 contest tonight will be Rockvale making the short trip over to Riverdale.
At 7, Independence is at Blackman. Kenwood's at Dixon County. Franklin County welcomes Murfreesboro Central. Page goes to Giles County, which can be heard on PCL, Pulaski Citizen Live. Station camps at Greenbrier. Hendersonville hosting Brentwood. Rossview's at Kirkwood. Cookeville at Laverne. Oakland hosting Siegel. And McGavock travels to White House. Major League Baseball, Braves and Astros continue their series tonight. It is available on Turner Broadcasting nationally. Don't know if it'll be blacked out on TBS or not, because it's apparently also available on Bally Sports. But we'll see, because last time it was on both, so I don't know.
Oh, fingers crossed. Then.
Yeah, fingers crossed for sure. Dret Francoeur will be on the analyst side of the national broadcast.
Okay,
on TBS.
that'll be worth tuning into then, if that's the case.
And then the Sounds open their 6-game homestand tonight at First Horizon Park at 6:35 as they get a visit from the Storm Chasers of Omaha.
Omaha.
And that is your rundown.
Top story today presented, as always, by our fine friends at Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill. I'm running 100 miles an hour today, folks. And make sure you check out Piggly Wiggly again at Neely's Mill, proud title sponsor of today's top story. And Chris, you and I were going back and forth on what our top story today should be. And we don't like to bring up a loss as the top story, but it is worth noting and worth discussing at least. we broke yesterday's show talking about how we had hoped and how fun and funny it would be if the Preds could go into Pittsburgh and basically ruin the season for the Penguins. Unfortunately, they never really got off to a great start, as Pittsburgh ultimately ends up winning that game 4-2 last night. And so the Preds, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really necessarily help or hurt them, but really you were just playing for the chance to just play pure out-and-out spoiler for Pittsburgh last night. So you were robbed of that opportunity, as it were.
Yeah, they had a chance to kind of stick the knife in and twist it a little bit. But again, Pittsburgh was playing for their lives, and that's not what the Predators were doing. So, the Western Conference teams have been set. Everybody in the Western Conference now, not necessarily their seeding, but nobody in the Western Conference can play their way in or out at this point. So, you're just trying to kind of find your groove and maybe take some momentum into the playoffs. But otherwise, you also had to realize that Pittsburgh was again playing for their playoff lives last night. So still a little bit up in the air. Obviously, Detroit with 89 points, Pittsburgh now with 88. The Red Wings got that big win late last night, which was huge for them. Keeps them in the race.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to watch any of these games live last night, but I was kind of keeping a little tabs on them. You had the Capitals, who needed a win. They got a win versus the Bruins last night. Obviously, the Preds and Penguins were getting it on. Penguins led 2-0 at the end of one, and the Preds kind of got back into it in the second period, got it within a goal there, but they ultimately fall 4-2. But really, the game that was kind of captivating the most was Detroit winning that game in overtime. And with less than a minute remaining, they kind of answered the bell, as it were, and just snuck a goal in. So as you mentioned, the West is pretty much set. The East is kind of just crazy right now. And it's really kind of just like a bonus taste of playoffs. And if you're a neutral observer, this is great, right? I mean, you've said it before, and I agree with you that the NHL playoffs, top to bottom, that's the most fun postseason, in my opinion, in all the sports. And we're kind of getting subjugated to that a little bit early here, which I'm certainly a fan of. And the Penguins are in a crazy situation because they've, in the last week alone, feels like they've gone up, they've gone down, they've gone up, they've gone down. And you're thinking Nashville has a chance to go in and really kind of spoil things and knock them out once and for all. But they somehow rallied. They picked themselves up off the mat. I believe Crosby even had the first goal last night to kick things off. So would have been nice for Nashville to secure a little extra bragging rights there and exert a little measure of revenge, as it were. But the good news for Nashville, no harm, no foul, really. And we'll obviously have the Western bracket, as we will the East, set here in just another day or two.
See if I can find it. There was one good thing to come out last night, and I'm not sure if I can find the graphic, but Jeremy Lauzon broke the NHL record for most hits in a season last night. With 383
I was going to say, do we got a number on that bad boy?
He broke it. He surpassed Matt Martin. And just let me tell you, this is one of my favorite graphics that the Preds have put out, because new NHL record for most hits in a season, 383, and it shows Lauzon hitting somebody from Pittsburgh, I guess. But you know how graphics now, everybody's got a sponsor for the graphic?
Uh-huh.
This graphic for most hits in a season record, sponsored by Vanderbilt Health.
Nice touch. That's a nice touch. I love that.
You find yourself on the ice after a hit from Lauzon, call Vanderbilt Health.
Yeah, this is just a not so subtle way to imply that, yeah, you may need to scoot on over and check them out. By the way, you mentioned that. I pulled up this list here of skater records for hits in a season.
Mm-hmm.
And this is NHL, obviously already has him updated. You mentioned Matt Martin. He has 4 of the top 6 seasons with most hits. So Vanderbilt Health might be reaching out to Matt Martin personally, potentially, if they wanted to. They could sign some sort of sponsorship with that guy because
One would think.
382, you mentioned that came in his 14-15 season, and then he had the top 3 until Lazon got him last night. So he is prone to a little pushing and shoving, but that's kind of the cool thing. I think Nashville, I could be totally misinformed on this, but I get the vibe, just general NHL league-wide reputation that Nashville's kind of a softer team at times, especially now that Tutu's obviously long removed. Just doesn't seem like they have that reputation of being a real gritty team. So the fact that he is your hits leader this year, that at least to me says, hey, we can beat you in a number of different ways. And if we can't beat you, we're certainly going to beat you up a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Before we get out of here real quick, the Eastern Conference playoff picture. The Capitals control their own destiny. They can beat the Flyers, which is tonight at 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus on the NHL Power Play. That would give them 91 points, and they held the regulation wins tiebreaker over the Red Wings. So Detroit includes a win. Their path includes a win over Montreal, which is tonight, again, 6 o'clock on the NHL Power Play. And either the Capitals lose either in regulation or overtime, so the Caps can get a point and still be out.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, if the Caps lose and Detroit wins, then Detroit would be in. The Penguins, however, can only get to 90. So if they finish tied with the Caps and Wings at either 89 or 90,
Mm-hmm.
they are actually in due to the regulation win tiebreakers. So the Canadians and the Flyers are their teams tonight. They need Montreal and Philadelphia to get dubs tonight. So
Yeah, that East, the Preds, they could potentially face a little tougher road by losing that game last night. They could potentially need a little help, but as we said, they're locked in. But the crazy thing, again, is that East, especially with those scenarios that you just ran down, that thing is wide open. And there's
the Flyers can also get in, but I can't even tell you.
Yeah, what did I see this earlier? Moneypuck.com playoff odds, as I pull that up here. The Washington Capitals listed 42.8% to make. These are to make the playoffs. Red Wings at 36.8, Penguins at 14.6. Flyers, they got a chance. It ain't much of a chance, but they got a chance. 5.9%. So if you're a Philly fan,
they have to beat Washington. The Wings, Detroit, and Pittsburgh would both have to lose in regulation. All right. And then they would all have 89 points, and the Penguins would have 88. So it would actually go to a fifth tiebreaker. They would be tied with regulation wins, tied with regulation wins plus OT wins, tied with total wins, tied with head-to-head points, and the fifth tiebreaker would be greater goal differential, which Philly would be ahead. That's how they get in. So if you say there's a chance, that's all I know.
Yeah, there is a path for Philadelphia to make the playoffs, but
it ain't easy.
It ain't easy, and I ain't holding my breath. So now that you've kind of exploded my brain right there, I think we're gonna mandatory have to kick it to a break. But not just any break, folks. On the other side of this timeout, where you do have a great segment coming up, our good buddy Doug FEINBERG of the Associated Press. He's their women's basketball national writer. We're going to chat with Doug about the end of the college basketball season and then last night's WNBA draft. So stick with us, folks. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be back right after this. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Of Columbia. Chris Yao here, Wade Neely here. We come to you from the Lee Company studios in downtown Columbia. And last night, the WNBA draft. This was an event that occurred right on the heels of a fantastic March Madness for the ladies. And we had such a great visit a couple of weeks ago with Doug FEINBERG, Chris. We wanted to bring him back on to break down last night's, I should say, WNBA draft results. Let's go to Doug now. And Doug, first of all, good to see you again. And we actually just ran your interview as part of our Throwback Thursday segment last week. So you've been getting some love and you've been getting some shine thanks to your prognostications in March Madness for the ladies.
Appreciate it, guys. I hope my prognostications were correct. I think I said something about a South Carolina-Iowa final. I think I might have said Iowa potentially could win to end the storybook. But, it was a great game. I mean, the fact that almost 19 million people watched it, with a peak of 24 million, fantastic for the sport, and just an all-around great NCAA tournament and way to cap it off.
It really was, and you kind of surmised it best. I mean, yes, it would have been cool and a storybook ending, as it were, if I were to win that game. But, I mean, really, at the end of the day, you just got to tip your cap to how dominant that South Carolina team was, not only during the March Madness run at times, even though they had a few shaky games here and there, but really all season long, obviously capping it with an undefeated year.
Yeah, I mean, let's give them their flowers. They are the 10th team ever to go undefeated in the NCAA era, and they were challenged a couple times and answered the bell every time. Just a great job by Dawn Staley coaching them and getting them to stay undefeated and do something that only 9 other teams had done before. And she's now in a rare company who's winning 3 national championships. Only 4 of their coaches have done that. So she has established herself as one of the best coaches in the history of the game.
Well, there's any question about that. She's certainly in there with Gino Auriemma, Pat Summitt, Tara Vandiver, who recently announced her retirement. I mean, when you talk about the greatest coaches in women's college basketball history, those are names that all pop up, and Dawn is right there with them. Doug, you know, when women's basketball started, I guess I want to say, I feel like it was around January of last year, might have been early February, where Caitlin Clark kind of went viral on TikTok and some other social media things with the way that she handled the basketball, the way she shot the basketball, with some of her not taunting tactics, but celebrations post hitting 40-foot jump shots.
Mm-hmm.
And that has carried for more than 14, 15, 16 months now. And it just makes a lot of sense for the WNBA and their draft to be at the climax of all of this. This is kind of the beginning of something new, but also the pinnacle of the end of the college basketball season for women. How important is that for the W to be able to capitalize not just last year, but also this year?
You bring up a lot of really good points there. I think I see both sides of the fence in the sense that they just finished their season a week ago or 8 days ago from when the draft was. And then you're going right into the draft. Caitlin Clark went to LA for the Wooden Award. She was back home for a celebration in Iowa, came to New York. Obviously, did a great appearance on Saturday Night Live, which was hilarious, and then got drafted 2 days later. So they were able to capitalize on the momentum that women's basketball had over the last year and a half that really, I think, helped it. You also kind of go, okay, maybe if they had taken a month, and they can't because when the season starts, but the NBA draft isn't until June, right? The NFL draft isn't until the end of April, so they have 4 months to get ready for it, which they're more established sports, obviously, but I see where, hey, this is a lot going on for these young players' careers. I mean, most of them were in the NCAA tournament. They kept on going, made the finals or the Elite Eight or Final Four. So it's tough to sort of have that, turn that page to, okay, I'm no longer a college player, I'm a pro a week later. But I think it helps people. Everyone's talking about Caitlin Clark still. Everyone's talking about Camila Cardozo, Angel Reese. If you take some time, maybe those spotlights dim a little bit right now for the WNBA. So the timing works out well. And you're right. I mean, 16 months ago, Caitlin Clark was not who she is now on the national scene, or maybe 18, 20 months ago. So it's really helped her grow. It's helped the league grow. And obviously fans know who she is. She's a household name.
Yeah, that's an interesting question that just popped in my mind, Doug, is I'm not going to lie, I haven't followed the WNBA draft certainly as closely as maybe I did this year. And with the reduced timetable, how quickly are execs, coaches, GMs, all of the front office positions, how quickly are they making decisions? Is it a situation where a young lady makes a run during a tournament and can dramatically improve her stock, or are the decisions made kind of as the season is really unfolding? If you could maybe describe that process.
So that's a great question. I mean, the really good teams know you learn more watching a kid practice than you would in a game. You see what their habits are, and they're all going to practice over the course of the season, December, January, November. They'll go to games also. So it's not like, oh my God, I have 1 week to figure out if this kid's worth playing in my team or not. I think an NCAA tournament run can help a player in a mid-major school more than a major school. Rickea Jackson in Tennessee was a great player. She had a good NCAA tournament for as long as the Vols were in it. I don't think that would have helped or hurt her. Even if they made the Final Four, I think everyone knew who she was. A mid-major player, or a player that may not have gotten as much attention. I mean, I'll use, as a Columbia guy, I'll use Abby Shue, who got drafted in the third round by Connecticut last night. Columbia made the tournament for the first time. You don't know really who they playing against during the regular season. But, hey, played against the Vanderbilt team that's in the SEC. She played okay. Maybe that helps her draft stock a little bit. Say she can play against the better players, the bigger schools. Whereas, like I said, South Carolina and Iowa and Tennessee that plays really good competition all season long, they're already kind of evaluated and know where they fit in their draft scheme of things.
Makes sense. I just have mock draft fatigue from the NFL for those 4 months. So I was curious kind of how that process played out. We're talking with Doug FEINBERG. He's the AP National Women's Basketball writer. And Doug, last night, obviously, no surprise, Caitlin Clark does go number 1 overall. Seeing social media posts, over the next 24 hours, her jerseys have already officially sold out of their allotment. So kind of really no surprise there. With that being said, were there any first-round surprises of major notes that jumped out to you yesterday or last night, rather?
So, I mean, you guys have covered and seen a lot of drafts in every sport. I'm not sure I heard any team go last night from the first round. We didn't get who we wanted. Everyone seemed happy with how the draft worked out. I mean, listen, if India didn't take Caitlin Clark first, there'd probably be a federal investigation, because how could you avoid her from the talent standpoint, the marketing standpoint? I mean, everything. LA did a nice job getting Cameron Brink number 2 and Rikia number 4. They got solid players that are going to help be the foundation of that franchise for the next potentially decade. Chicago at number 3 got Camila Cardozo, a really good post player, and then traded up and got Angel Reese at the 7. So they made great moves there. JC Sheldon going 5 to Dallas. Everyone kind of got who they wanted, which I think is very rare. Usually like, oh man, we wanted to get this player, we didn't get him. I think everyone did pretty well, at least in the first round, which is unfortunately most of the players after the first round have a much harder time making rosters. Only 144 players max in the WNBA. So I was surprised. If you go, what was the surprise of the draft? That everyone went away happy, it seemed.
Well, and that's one of the things that you just mentioned, 144 players in the league, and there's some rumbling that maybe that's not enough, and can this class of draftees actually improve the viewership and the monetary numbers for the league to a point where they can carry 14 or 15 players? I mean, is that something that we may see in the near future, or is that entirely predicated on the bottom line?
Well, that's, again, really good points there. The commissioner of the league, Kathy Engelbert, had a press conference or pre-draft press conference. One point she said is they're trying to get to 16 teams by 2028. Golden State comes in next year with their franchise, and then she wants to add 3 more from the 12 they have now and 13 next year, which will create, obviously, a lot more jobs.
Including Nashville, we hope.
Yes, Nashville is one of the places she mentioned. 6 cities that are their favorites. But you got to find the right ownership. You can't just have a city get a team if there's not the right owners who want to invest in the franchise.
Right.
But the other thing I thought is important is, yes, like in the NBA, there's, I think, 15 guys on a roster. You can sort of taxi guys up and down a little bit in case of injuries and such. The new TV deal, or this TV deal, ends after the 2025 season. So hopefully there'll be, I would think, a much bigger pot to speak of money from the new TV deal, which will help increase salaries. And also you might get some extra roster spots, which I think will help get more players in and just make it better for everybody.
Yeah, and that's part of, again, capitalizing on all of the things that they've capitalized on, and congratulations to the WNBA, because they've done a really good job of not screwing this up. And I think a lot of times professional leagues, especially who haven't had eyeballs on them, can try to do too much. And the WNBA and their leadership has done a fantastic job. But the scary part for a lot of fans has been the part where a lot of rookies, because they have to play 60, 65 games in a 8-month period, they don't really make a lot of impact in year one, and they end up getting cut or something. I mean, 3 players from LSU's teams last year, their 3 leading scorers were cut by the end of the season last year. How does the WNBA rectify that in the immediacy? Because you can't cut, anybody that was drafted in the top 15, I think. it's going to be really hard for them to make those moves.
Unfortunately, it's the nature of the business. It is the toughest league to make for any professional player, professional athlete, because there are so limited spots. and there's so many players return every year after year that are very good. I think some of the picks, there's some of the later first-round picks were foreign players, 2 from France and 1 from Australia, that I'm not sure if they're actually going to be playing this year because of the Olympics. So there's a chance that you don't have to, like, save them a roster spot, so to speak, right now. You can suspend them for the season, suspend them, meaning that they just won't play. You don't have to worry about paying them. They don't take a roster spot. I mean, listen, I think 15 players last year who were drafted made rosters out of 36, which is not obviously a great number. I don't think there's an immediate fix right now until the next CBA comes out. And again, I think the Players Union most likely will opt out after next season when they're allowed to for the first time to help sort of build things a little bit, the new TV deal and other such additions sponsorship-wise. But you're right, it is tough. I mean, Carmelo Cardozo played 38 games, or her team played 38 games in the regular season for South Carolina in the NCAA tournament. They played 40 games in the WNBA. So that's 78 games, not even including playoffs, that she may have to play in a limited window. Injuries can be obviously an issue there, and just the fatigue. I mean, you're going to hit a wall at some point, and the league needs – I mean, if Caitlin Clark somehow doesn't work out well in Indiana, that's not good for anybody from a league standpoint. I don't think that's happening. I think she's going to be a phenomenal player. One thing which we did mention before, not only does she shoot 40-foot shots, she's a phenomenal passer. She makes your teammates better. She throws dimes that you don't see other players make. And that's going to, I think, help carry her to the next level to be one of the best players coming into the league, if not one of the top 10 or 15 by the end of the season.
Talking with Doug Feinberg from the Associated Press. Doug, a couple of those teams in need of immediate help. Chris and I talked about it on the show yesterday, was the Sparks, and you mentioned they get 2 quality picks. And we've talked a little bit about rookies and the impact they can make. What's a realistic expectation for a team, whether it's Chicago or the Sparks, with 2 quality picks in the top 10? Is that enough to really kind of thrust them back kind of into the fold as far as really competing for the top spots in their respective conferences?
Well, I think they both made really good choices in the draft and who they got. Cameron Brink, Rukia Jackson going to be very helpful in LA. They're in rebuilding mode still. And again, part of being a rookie is where you get drafted and where you fit. If you get drafted by the Aces or the Liberty, there's 2 very well-established teams that don't need much. So odds are you're not going to be probably playing much this year, if at all. Whereas LA, Chicago, they're in rebuild mode where you're going to step right in. You're going to get minutes. You're going to do well. Hopefully, you're going to have your struggles at times. So I think for them to be up the upper echelons, if they make the playoffs as an 8 seed or 7 seed, I think that's a realistic expectation. I think Indiana has a chance to be one of the top 4 teams because they had a good group coming back with Aaliyah Boston, Rookie of the Year last year, Kelsey Mitchell. They added some other good pieces around Caitlin Clark. I think that can make a jump. I think it's a lot to expect LA or Chicago from what they did. And I thought they had a really good draft, both teams, make that jump to be one of the championship contenders or a top 4 team in the playoffs.
Kind of in that same vein, obviously, Indiana had a great selection last year with Aaliyah Boston, and then now you have Caitlin Clark added to the mix. Where do you see the Fever going potentially in terms of their campaign this year in the WNBA?
So I've heard from some pretty reliable GMs that I trust their knowledge of. They think Indiana can be one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the league this year. I don't think they're good enough to be in the same conversation as Vegas and New York right now. I think just they're young still, and those are 2 really good established teams. They could play with them and beat them in a game during the year. I'm not saying they're not going to beat them at all, but I would think Indiana could be one of the top probably 3 or 4 teams in the league, number 3 or 4 in that range, 5, based on what they have, assuming it all works out. I think they could have a really good season.
Obviously, so much buzz about Caitlin Clark, of course. Rookie of the Year, is that a slam dunk in your mind, or is there a lot more that maybe goes into that, and it's not just a shoe-in as a lot of folks might assume?
I mean, I love prognosticating with you guys. I would be
you've been on a heater with us, so
if and this is not a huge stretch here. If she stays healthy throughout the season, I can't think she will not be Rookie of the Year based on talent. I mean, listen, you could say there'll be other factors, what she does, just what she's going to bring on the court. She will be Rookie of the Year.
Seems like a fair prediction there.
There you go. Health is important, but if she stays healthy, I think he's probably right there. There are some great talents, but but just the ability that she's going to have to, she has a little bit of, she and Aaliyah Boston played together on Team USA, right? So, I mean, they have some familiarity, and that's going to help too. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to this WNBA season. Spent a lot of time watching it with my daughter last year, and she's become a pretty big fan. So I'm looking forward to continuing to do that. And Doug, we look forward to talking to you again next time, man.
Pleasure, guys. She wins Rookie of the Year. The sun rises every morning, so that's basically, I think, the on level of how secure I am that she'll be Rookie of the Year, barring an injury.
We'll go ahead and mark that down then. Doug, thank you as always for your time, brother. Good to catch up with you. We'll see you real soon.
Always great, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. That was Doug Feinberg, national women's basketball writer for the Associated Press. Not a huge stretch to go out and say that Caitlin Clark should win Rookie of the Year. I do think some of these other young ladies, of course, will have fantastic seasons. By the Sparks definitely adding Brink and Jackson, of course. But the thing that really caught my buzz last night on social media was the fact that Reese and Cardoso, two dominant post players, going to Chicago now.
Yeah, and again, they had so much great success with Candace Parker up there, and if they have any type of guard play whatsoever, they've got a chance to be very good again. I mean, this is a team that's just 2 years removed from winning a championship. So
it'll be very interesting. The cool thing about the WNBA too, it all happens right after, like we've discussed here, right after that we cash in on March Madness. So we had the draft last night. We got the season cranking up in early May. So exciting times for women's basketball as a whole, and obviously, especially the WNBA. Sit tight, folks. On the other side of this timeout, we're going to bust into a little Braves chatter. This day in Braves history still to come. I will wipe away my tears as the Astros dropped that first game last night. It was a close game for a while until it wasn't.
Until the ninth. Yeah.
Until the ninth inning, and then things really got off the rails. But we'll talk Braves. We'll talk a little bit more, and we'll roll right along. You're watching Main Street Sports today. We're inside the Lee Company studios here in Columbia, and this show, as always, is presented by our friends at the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And we are back right after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
I gave up trying to clip it on. Just it is what it is.
Let it ride.
It's like we're just gonna have to hold this thing. All right, there we go. This day in Braves history. Sans Maurice Patton, who has apparently figured out the trick to getting people to not say "Roll Tide" when you're wearing a Braves cap, and that is to wear the Braves cap with the lowercase a. Because if you don't
crack the code,
you don't wear this one, they don't get confused. See, so
the reason it should be well known, but you know how you discern the difference
with the mullet.
Yeah, Alabama, you got the mullet. The Braves, no mullet. Once I heard that for the first time,
made sense.
Had made sense and had no problems ever since.
All right, we go back in time to 1935. It was not a great year, to be honest, right in the middle of the Great Depression. But good year for Babe Ruth. He debuted with the National League Braves and brought 25,000 folks to Braves Field. The Babe's 2-hit, 3 RBI debut, including a 430-foot home run in the 5th inning off of Carl Hubble, helped Boston defeat the New York Giants 4-2. Was this day in Braves history?
I got a couple of media questions as we welcome our viewers back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I've always wondered, but now when you said that, it really resonated with me. 1935. How did they know it was a 430-foot home run back then? What was the methodology to measuring said home runs back then?
Oh, I mean, I assume that he hit it dead center and they just walked an extra 30 feet out.
And they just guessed?
It's a guesstimate.
Okay.
I don't think StatCast was.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. They don't have Babe Ruth's exit velocity back then, all these other crazy stats that we have now. But when you were reading that, I was just thinking, how did they have the 430 feet back then?
It was the first question that popped into my mind, too.
That, and then you gave us a stat, I believe it was you a couple weeks ago, we're in the old Yankee Stadium, or in an old-timey stadium, if they accounted for balls that were hit into the net, that former MLB player would have had like 65 extra home runs or something of that nature.
Babe Ruth.
It was a Babe Ruth?
Yeah.
Man, so the allure, or the aura, if you will, of Babe Ruth goes. And he got 25K to Braves Field back in 1935 when folks, like you
only
said.
held 20,000. So they stuck 5,000 in there somewhere.
At a time where not a lot of disposable income, they were able to get 25K. So times were good for baseball then. The times, if you're a Braves fan, are good right now, at least if you're a member of our Main Street Sports Today crew, because they got the win last night over the Houston Astros, 6-1. My poor Houston Astros. Just when I thought things were kind of maybe taking a turn for the better, after taking 2 out of 3 versus the Rangers. A 2-1 ball game all the way until the later stages. And as we just said right before we went to our last break there, it was all good kind of until it wasn't, as Atlanta really got things going down the stretch and pulled away a 6-1 final as the Braves take game 1 of the series. And as you astutely pointed out in our first segment today, my friend, they only need one more to win the series. And if they win tonight and tomorrow, the sweep is on. And I will have real tears at that point.
Well, it was a good day for Darius Vines, I thought. Much better for him than Josh Hader, who gave up 4 runs in the 9th. But, Vines, I'm not sure if he earned maybe another shot at the starting at one of those 2 back end starting roles that are now open thanks to Spencer Strider. I think Bryce Elder's probably going to fill one of those roles. He hasn't pitched since like April 5th. So things just kind of keep happening to keep him from pitching. And they didn't want his first start after a long layoff to be in the majors, understandably. So they've kind of pushed him back. He'll probably start for Gwinnett at some point, either today or tomorrow, and then pitch for Atlanta on Sunday. So, but I think Darius Vines certainly earned himself an opportunity to pitch again. Again, there's no shame in giving up 3 hits to Jose Altuve. There just isn't. There's not really any shame in giving up 2 hits to Alex Bregman. The entire rest of the team had 2 hits.
I saw a tweet last night, and it said, at first I thought it might have been satire I knew the score, and it basically said, man, how good is Jose Altuve at hitting? And I thought it might have been a little satire because I can't remember which account it came from. And then I also thought, maybe he just did something, to obviously change the score. I got on the score bug there only to find out he did go 3 for 4, but all 3 of them were singles, and Houston only put across 1 run, and that was in the bottom of the first.
Right. That was on a Bregman single so Alvarez grounds into a double play. Tucker didn't single. He got on first somehow. I'm not sure, but he stole second, and then Bregman singled him home. So that's how they scored their lone run last night. And just goes to show, man, the Braves have such a deep, and we talked about this when they did this, when they drafted nothing but pitchers for like 3 years straight. And we're just sitting there going, come on. Like Langeliers was the only guy that was a non-pitcher that the Braves signed and drafted. And most of us were just like, geez, like how many pitchers do you need? Well, now we know why they needed so many pitchers. 1, some of them don't work out. And 2, people are getting injured. And right now, baseball is about the least injured team. It is the most capable of winning. Whoever's the least injured right now.
Yeah, depth is obviously such a crucial thing in Atlanta. Using that depth to its advantage in the pen and getting the win last night. Game number 2 coming your way. As we told you guys in the rundown, game could be seen on TBS or could be seen potentially on Bally Sports. Hopefully, between the two, hopefully you'll be able to check that out. And by the way, producer Mark, you seen producer Mark's note here? It says they measured the record-breaking home run 587 feet with surveyor's tape, apparently, for Babe. I'm assuming that's for Babe Ruth. So, how'd you
587? Come on now.
That seems, even by Babe Ruth standards, it seems.
Come on now.
We might have, we're going to have to do a this day in Babe Ruth home run history at this point. So we'll keep tabs on that. Hey, real quick, one thing we did want to sneak in. You had it on the run of show, and we got second hour coming up. Chip Walters, Blue Raider voice, will join us. But before we get into that, Jack Leiter is set to make his debut. Tell us more about that.
He will go Thursday for the Rangers. So big day for Vandy Boys fans. And so good for him. Looking forward to that. Congrats to former Rutherford County standout Sonny Gray.
He got a milestone victory.
The former Smyrna Bulldog with a 100th career win. So not that wins mean anything these days in Major League Baseball, but we're going to give him his roses anyway. And speaking of depth, your Astros may be getting a little depth on the pitching staff here soon. Justin Verlander throwing bullpens says he'll be back here in the next month. So that's big news for you guys. You need it.
Yeah, Houston's we've talked about the Braves rotation issues. Houston's got just as many issues, if not more, right now. So obviously getting Verlander back will be big for a variety of reasons. So we're going to take a quick time out, folks. Again, game number 2 in that series coming your way tonight. Hopefully I'll have a little more excitement about MLB tomorrow on the show. It'd be nice if nothing else to go into the rubber match tomorrow. I think everybody can agree.
Yeah,
a little more skin in the game tomorrow.
The rubber match tomorrow will be during our show, so that'll make it even more fun. Tonight's probables are Ronaldo Lopez and Hunter Brown.
I'm feeling confident. I think
Hunter Brown wears number 58, if that helps you know where the Astros are in their depth of pitching.
it's not good.
It's better than 73, but
yes,
58 ain't a great number.
No, that doesn't exactly strike fear in the heart. I think of a lot of folks. So more on Braves tomorrow. When we come back, we are now kicking off the 3:00 hour. It's time to catch up with our good buddy Chip Walters. He's the Blue Raider voice, and he will join us on the other side of this timeout. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Chris and I are back right after this.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Welcome back, folks. Second hour of Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely here, Chris Yao there. We are coming to you live from the Lee Company studios. And hour number 2, we mentioned coming up in just a matter of moments, we're going to check in with our good friend MTSU Blue Raider voice Chip Walters. Still to come, we got a grab bag of topics, and we'll close it out as we do every Tuesday with Top 5 Tuesday presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Going to be a fun segment talking about disappointing championships, which kind of sounds a little backwards, but sometimes the games just don't live up to the events don't live up to the billing. And so Chris and I will give you our top 5 championship games that we were kind of let down by. So stick around for that. But as I mentioned, every Tuesday we catch up with Chip Walters. He is the MTSU Blue Raider voice, and he joins us now. Good afternoon, Chip. How are you?
What's up, boys? How are y'all doing?
You know, it's interesting because when we have Chip on, there's a lot of things that we can talk about. One of them being, you know, the voice of sports. Well, one of the biggest voices in the history of the game announced his retirement, I guess, Sunday or maybe even yesterday. I'm not entirely sure when it was.
Yesterday.
John Sterling of the Yankees. But John Sterling had some iconic calls over the years. One call, however, that may be his most iconic, Chip Walters did not hear. Why did Chip Walters not hear that call? Well, he was there in person for the Rick Camp game.
Yeah, he goes.
Missed that.
He goes, if Rick Camp hits a home run here, this is going to be the most crazy, wacky major league game of all time. And then what happens next? Rick Camp hit the home run.
Yeah, you missed that call, but you know, it is what it is.
God, I mean, but you know, to me, it's hard to believe John Sterling is 93 years old.
Yeah,
I mean, because I think he still does, his very creditable job, and still comes to the ballpark dressed to the nines every day. And I saw some clips with Susan Wallman yesterday and getting some of her thoughts, and he of course has a couple of catchphrases that he has learned to use. And John Sterling was one of those guys that you either really liked him or you didn't like him at all. And kind of in the same vein of Milo Hamilton when you talk Braves over the years. But I was a big Milo Hamilton fan, and Milo left Atlanta and went on to Pittsburgh, and then finished his career in Houston. And speaking of that, I know we're kind of rambling here early, but last week or week before was the 50th anniversary of Hank Aaron's 715th home run. And there was a really cool little piece of video that I found that I put it on my Twitter feed, I think. And it was all 3 calls of that home run, one by Kurt Gowdy on television, which I saw because I was sitting cross-legged in the middle of our den watching the TV that night, and 12 years old. And the other, of course, was Milo Hamilton's call, which was terrific. And then there was Vin Scully's call for the Dodger radio network. And of course, Vin took it to a different level when he talked about the social significance of the entire situation. And but all of those did a great job of letting the moment breathe and to be part of it. So yeah, John Sterling came along later, but he'll be missed in New York. He was a perfect guy, perfect fit, I think, for New York.
Yeah, it seems like that era of baseball. I mean, man, we talk about it a lot, and maybe it's just a sign of our age, I guess, Chip. But you just don't have those iconic broadcasters in terms of those old school radio calls that just will literally live forever. That game and that era, that mystique that sport once held, seems like it's just kind of slowly fading from us.
Well, and I think part of it too is I'm not sure how many up and coming young broadcasters look at it radio first, and because that's what we all did growing up, laying in bed, listening to whoever, John Ward, Paul Eels, whoever it was around here, Monty Hale Sr., uh, calling ball games, your local high school, George Martin down in Pulaski, some of those guys. And it was, and now it's, no, a lot of the young guys don't even think about being on radio. They think about, okay, I want to learn how to do it for TV. And the ones who do have radio first in mind, I think they do a really good job.
And but typically they get stuck in places that are primarily radio, or radio is radio first for everything. And it's interesting because one of the things that, because like your sister, I also do not have access to watch the Braves. So I am typically listening to Ben and Joe on their radio broadcast. And I'm telling you, it is a blast. There is nothing more pure than listening to baseball on the radio. And it really, those two guys do such a fantastic job, and they fill the time, and Joe's hilarious.
I'll tell you, I'll take it a step further, Chris, is that, we're fortunate here in Murfreesboro that WGNS carries the Braves games as well. And WGNS has an AM signal and an FM signal. When I get the choice to listen to baseball, I'm going to put it over on the AM signal. And I don't know,
if you get a chance,
but it's just, it just harkens back a little bit there. But
that crackle makes it a little bit better.
Oh yeah, exactly.
1340 AM right here in Muletown, man.
There you go.
I love it.
Yep. There you go.
Let's get into some Middle Tennessee State talk here. Have we talked to you since the spring game? I don't guess we have.
No, it was Saturday.
So there you go. I saw Calvin. Calvin was keeping me pretty up to date on Twitter. Calvin White of Sidelines doing a great job, as he always does.
Who is a terrific young writer, by the way.
A fantastic young man, and does a fantastic job. But yeah, I was keeping up with him, and it seems like things are going well, or at least feel like they're going well with Derek Mason's group.
Well, I think they're right. And you certainly won't know for sure until you line it up against somebody else. And, longtime fans, as you go through and the older you get, every time somebody makes a good play on offense, was that a good play on offense, or did the defense kind of, but
that's a tough part.
Sometimes you just don't, you'd have to just try not to get too analytical and just, enjoy it for what it is. It was nice to see a full regular game in the spring. The only thing that was, two things that were a little bit off the norm or the kicking plays were just kicks. There was no coverage, none of that stuff. So they just had a kicker, a snapper, and a receiver. Of course, quarterbacks were off limits as far as it was two-hand touch with the quarterbacks, and also the way that their timing. They had two running quarters of 20 minutes in the first half, running quarters of 15 minutes in the second half. But all the scoring was just normal football scoring, and that's ended up being 20-7 in favor of the blue team. And they were led by Nick Vattiato, who looked like an absolute veteran out there. 15 of 16 throwing the football for 220 yards, and that was in just over a half of work. And some couple of new faces that were targets. Omari Kelly, who is a transfer from Auburn, who is here already, made some spectacular catches. Holden Willis, who is now playing a full-fledged tight end position, young man out of Greenback. He did what he did a year ago that got everybody's attention. The running backs, Frank Peasant ran early, but they knew what they had with him. They used a lot of younger guys, a JUCO transfer who kind of got some folks' attention a little bit. But, it was a day for the quarterbacks. The defense made a couple of big plays. So, at the end of the day, Derek Mason said after the game that it was he thought it was a win all the way around, and not that I've ever heard a coach talk about how bad a spring game was, but people left feeling entertained and kind of upbeat, and next thing you know, it's about 140 days until Tennessee Tech will roll in here on August 31st.
We're talking with Chip Walters. He's the Blue Raider voice. You can follow him on Twitter @ChooseChip. And Chip, as we kind of broke down the orange and white game for Tennessee yesterday on this program, and I find it fascinating. You can kind of either tell the enthusiasm level or the trajectory of a football program sometimes by how excited everybody is about the spring game. And to me, at least, I know there was a ton of events on campus in general this past weekend. But for the first time, obviously literally just playing the game in a while, it seemed like the enthusiasm was there. And to me, that's a promising thing for that football program.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of buzz, and simply because that, there's a curiosity factor. It was Coach Mason's first game, and he was well out of the picture. He stood down in one end zone by the goalpost and watched from there, and had headsets on and was listening to his coordinators and play callers and all that. But obviously, kind of soaking it all in. It was kind of neat too. The construction of the new Student Athlete Performance Center. The cranes were out there. The crews were working. You could hear steel being worked on and all that. But you're right. It was a big day that was planned, and they try to do this once a year to have and it's all kind of around the final, whatever football is going to have, whether it's a scrimmage or a full game like they had this year. But it started with women's tennis at the new outdoor tennis facility. Then that was at 11 a.m. At noon, you had soccer against Belmont. At 1, you had football. At 3, you had baseball at home. And at 4, you had softball at home. So you had 5 different teams playing at home on Saturday. And there were people who were trying to hit all the events. They came and set up their tailgates out in Greenland Drive. So it was a fun day, and the weather could not have been more charitable on Saturday. It was just it was terrific out there.
A Chamber of Commerce day indeed.
Yeah. Indeed.
Hoping to get some of that this weekend.
Going to be a little cooler. But as most of our teams are out of town this weekend because they were all at home last weekend. But it was a big day. And
but you will need you will need good weather to play tennis.
That's correct. And we had a lot of wind on Saturday. The men's tennis team will be hosting and will be the number 1 seed going into the Conference USA Men's Tennis Championships this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And I'll be honest, I made my first trip out to the new tennis facility I've been out there, but I hadn't been out there to watch a match. I went out there Sunday before baseball and watched them play Tulane. And you go up there and you go up the steps, and there's 4 courts on either side, and you've got seating on either side. So I was up there, and all the doubles matches were all right in front of you, and every court has a scoreboard. So, I mean, exactly where everything stands, especially during that what turned out to be a very dramatic doubles point. Middle came. It was 1 match apiece, and in the third match, it was tied 6-6 and going into a tiebreaker. And Middle was behind 5-4 in the tiebreaker and ended up winning at 7-6 to get the doubles point. And they went on to beat Tulane on Sunday. But Jimmy Borndame has a team that is very exciting to watch. They're trying to go to their 5th straight NCAA tournament, 5th straight Conference USA championship. And now if they can, to be able to play this event in this venue that Jimmy and so many others have put, blood, sweat, tears, and all kinds of resources into this new $8 million tennis facility. It is really the crown jewel of Conference USA tennis facilities, especially when you combine it with the indoor courts over at the Adams Tennis Complex. Not sure there's many that have a better indoor-outdoor situation than what Middle has right now.
No doubt. And when you couple that with the team and their long-term success, It just makes a lot of sense. And looking forward to that as well. I was going to mention, I was perusing the website earlier, and Rick Insell and that staff, boy, they just don't miss, do they?
Well, it's been a good week for both basketballs. But
Yeah,
last night word came down from that it popped out there that the young lady from Texas Tech, and I don't know her name just
Yeah.
yet, Alina Ariki.
Sure.
She is from Finland. Actually, she is familiar with Middle because she played at UTEP, then went to. She is from Finland. Yeah, Finland, from Helsinki. She was the 2023 Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year, and earned second team all conference honors before going to Texas Tech. And now she will come in and will be a very nice addition to a team that is already, you know, going to bring back a pretty good nucleus off of an NCAA tournament team this year. She, and there's a lot of excitement for that. She's pretty highly touted coming in for sure.
Yeah, Chip, I think that's just really speaks volumes to the level of the program as a whole. But obviously, what Rick has done, you're talking about not just bringing in anybody. I mean, you're bringing in a high program transfer. Oh, yeah, by the way, who was the conference's defensive player of the year prior to her arrival at Texas Tech?
Yeah, that's right. And as at UTEP, she started 75 games at UTEP, and was almost 10 points a game and 5 rebounds a game. So she only didn't start 4 games in her playing career at UTEP. So, and now she transfers to Middle from the Big 12, and it's not like she didn't have she's not been a good player everywhere. This is a really, really good get for Coach Insell and his staff. And so, they're and at the same time, earlier they got the signing of the young lady from Mississippi who was the Gatorade High School Player of the Year in Mississippi. And so
a lot of folks at Ole Miss not happy about
Yep.
this, by the way.
Yep. And then prior to that, of course, back in the early period, you had the young lady from West Tennessee that set the state record with 17 threes and 61 points in a game earlier this year. So, it is becoming more of a reload for Coach Insell, and instead of a rebuild for sure. With Savannah Wheeler and Courtney Whitson, the only two that you lose through graduation, and so it's a roster that is going to continue to be stacked.
Absolutely. And speaking of additions, not the only basketball program that's been making some moves. Local product, as it were, Lebanon native Jared Hall. We briefly mentioned him a time or two on this show, but he's now inked with the Blue Raiders. And then more recently, yesterday, in fact, looks like they picked up a Stetson transfer in Alec Oglesby. What do those two guys bring to the program?
Well, Jared Hall, a year ago, it was down to Middle in Tulsa a year ago. And Jared Hall is the all-time leading scorer at Lebanon High School. And when I think of great players at Lebanon, I go all the way back to Troy Bond and some really good teams back then. But Jared Hall he is listed as a 6'8" guard, but to me, I look at him as a very capable replacement for Elias King, because a lot of the same build, a lot of the same skill set. Jared Hall may be even a little bit better of a finisher. Is he as good of an outside shooter as Elias could be at times? We'll have to wait and see. But certainly, he's a guy that I think brings a lot to the table, and certainly a highly touted, all mid-state player from 2 years ago coming back home. And then Alec Oglesby, he is a grad transfer, 6'5" guard. He's kind of in that Nick McDevitt template. He likes guys from 6'4" to 6'8", that have a lot of versatility. And Oglesby was part of an NCAA tournament team at Stetson, and a team that won a lot of games last year. He's also a 40% three-point shooter. He started all 34 games this past year, averaged 11 points, 4 rebounds, had 17 double-figure games. So he's a guy that can step right in, plug-and-play kind of guy. When you know that Justin Porter had entered the portal, as a two-guard, he is, that's a pretty good fit right there. And I think Middle's on the trail of a couple of more that you may hear about here in the next few days. So it could be a very big week for Nick McDevitt. It is already a good week with those two signees. If a couple of other pieces fall that I'm hearing rumors about, it could be a great week for Nick McDevitt and the men's program.
We love that. We love hearing good news. And Chip, is it correct? We potentially got some good news. Homecoming, is that
homecoming day? That is fresh.
That
is fresh baked out of the oven news today, boys. And that will be September 21st. It will be an all blue homecoming, the Blue Raiders and the Blue Devils of Duke University. So that'll be a big homecoming day on September 21st. Obviously, you prefer to have your homecoming games in October, but obviously Conference USA has the midweek television package, and everybody wants to have their homecoming, as close to October. So that'll be the final home game in September, and it lets school get underway for about 3 or 4 weeks before homecoming hits. So that'll be a good week, and should be that'll be a game that's got a lot of buzz. In particular,
yeah, you've got Manny Diaz.
You got Manny Diaz coming back. That's right, and a Duke team that under Mike Elko a year ago was very good. Matter of fact, Manny Diaz is there. Another former assistant or two from Middle are on the Duke staff now. So it'll be a homecoming for them also. And so that was some exciting news that popped out on the socials earlier today.
Yeah, Willie Simmons part of that staff, and he'll be here. So this is going to be a literal homecoming for a lot of folks.
That's right. And
that's a good pick too, because obviously it's a Power 5 opponent. You're going to have a big crowd anyway. So, do all the festivities and all the other things and try to make it the best atmosphere you can possibly make it. And looks like that is a good way to do it.
And that will also, by the way, be Hall of Fame weekend. The Hall of Fame class will be inducted on Friday night prior to the football game, and that class is being in that selection process is beginning right now, and won't be very long before that group is announced.
Exciting times ahead for MTSU. Chip, you always bring the thunder, and today was no different. We appreciate you taking some time out of your Tuesday to talk Blue Raiders with us here, my friend.
One other quick note: if you check some of the MT Athletic socials, there's a new sideline store that is online ordering only through BSN, the Nike provider for MTSU, and it is probably the largest selection of Nike Blue Raider gear that I've ever seen, and that was also brand new as of today.
Awesome.
Well,
and 20% off for the rest of the month. So there you go.
I will send you a little bit of time. Yeah, I'll send you an invoice then, because I'll be prepared to do some shopping a little bit later this afternoon.
There you go.
Appreciate you, Chip. Chip Walters is the Blue Raider voice. He joins us every Tuesday, except the Tuesdays
that he does.
Unless I don't.
Yeah, there we go. Unless he does it. So, Chip, thank you as always, brother. We'll catch up with you soon.
See you guys.
Always good to catch up with Chip and Chris. Man, we got a lot. It's always fun to talk Blue Raider athletics here. And we're not really just doing lip service when we say it, because, man, they had a huge weekend last weekend. It's not every weekend that the football spring game is depending on your preference of sports, that was like could have been your 5th visit. There was like 5 full-blown events going on campus on Saturday.
Plenty going on last week, and it was a lot of fun to be over there if you got a chance to get there. And if you didn't, try again next time.
Yep. Now, I will say this. I did go to homecoming last year. Didn't work out so well versus Colorado State. Hoping for a much better homecoming on September 21st versus Duke. And as you said, a literal homecoming for Manny Diaz and those guys. So
Willie Simmons and several others. So should be fun. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's always a good time. I probably won't be there. It's my birthday, and I don't want to spend it watching Duke in Middle.
Well, hey,
Sorry.
Hey, at least you're honest. So I appreciate that. Chris and I are going to take a quick time out. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Still to come, it's Top 5 Tuesday. We will close out our show with our top 5 disappointing championships. Stick around for that. We also have a grab bag coming up in just a matter of moments, including one shout out that eluded us yesterday that Chris is anxious to tell you guys about. Stick around. We'll fill you guys in on the other side of this timeout. Wade and Chris, we're back right after this here on Main Street Sports Today.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Welcome back, gang. Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia. Wayne Neely here, Chris Yao there. We're inside the Lee Company studios in lovely downtown Columbia. And Chris, we still got Top 5 Tuesday coming up in our final segment. It's been a fun show thus far. And right now, we got a little grab bag opportunity, and we got quite a few things, a lot of hoops chatter. We've talked WNBA. We had a great segment in our first guest appearance of the day from Doug Feinberg of the AP. We obviously just talked a little MTSU hoops with Chip Walters, MTSU Blue Redder voice, and a couple of different topics here, especially kind of NBA themed, but more importantly, maybe a little quieter than a lot of folks might have initially thought. The Olympics are streaking right toward us. And
the flame was lit today in Greece.
Are you kidding me?
They lit the flame today. They will take it from Greece to Paris, and
this
it's creeping.
Girlfriend and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago. That the fact that you played the 2020 Olympics were held the year after,
it screwed everything.
It kind of has just thrown me for a loop, and it just doesn't feel like we're ready for another Olympics yet. But it's here. Teresa Walker's been hyping it up every time she's come on the program. That
she gets to go.
She's getting ready to travel and go check it out. We're all envious, of course, of that. But the Olympics will be here. Team USA basketball, obviously high expectations. And they have all but confirmed their roster ahead of Paris heading into this this summer.
Dude, the Team USA, okay. Here we go. Because I'm fixing to get into some trash can juice. They basically reveal. I mean, the roster is set. I mean, this is going to be the Olympics team. And okay, let's just go through it. Drew Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anthony Edwards. All right. Bam Adebayo. Tyrese Halliburton.
Yes.
Devin Booker. Joel Embiid. That's an interesting name, right? Anthony Davis. Okay. Jason Tatum. Interesting choice. Kevin Durant. Okay. Steph Curry. And LeBron James. If LeBron James is one of the best 11 players in this country right now, I will streak down West 7th.
Is he one of the best American players?
Right now.
Yeah.
No.
No?
No.
I'm going to need to give me a little more on this.
There are at least 5 other players that I would put on this team before I would have LeBron James on. LeBron is old. He doesn't play defense, can't play defense, and certainly can't do it for an entire basketball game. This is the epitome of we're trying to get people to watch this game.
Well, I agree with you there. And the real interesting thing is how big of a role is Team USA going to potentially thrust, in my mind. That's the way I'm looking at this. Are you bringing LeBron? He's certainly your headline grabber, but how much are you really even banking on him? This is a unique roster construction to me in the sense, and this is always the Team USA basketball conundrum, right? Is do you go for your younger kind of up-and-coming players, or do you kind of sweet talk your superstars into playing and then just obliterate the competition? Obviously, gold is your ultimate goal, but it's sometimes nice to get a nice fusion there. This roster, I kind of see where you're going a little bit. This roster, to me, does kind of skew a little older and a little more superstarish, but I don't know. I feel like you got to include LeBron. You're saying no. Keep in mind, though, there is still one spot that's tentatively up for grabs. And some of those names in consideration, at least, they're suspecting Kawhi Leonard, your leading candidate for that, but also guys like Paul George, Paolo from down there in Orlando, Mikal Bridges, and Brunson, who's been having a fantastic year for the Knicks, under consideration. That's according to The Athletic. But
Desmond Bain is in consideration.
Bain would be. I would love, obviously, as a Grizz fan, to see him. I mean, he's kind of paid
Jaron
his
Jackson
dues.
Jr. is also in that mix. Walker Kessler. I mean, to me, Walker Kessler, Dame. We don't have Damian Lillard on this team.
It is shocking that he's not even listed as the potential candidates for that final spot. I will admit that.
What? I'm sorry. I mean, of the 30 players that are playing or that have the chance for that one shot, Jared Allen, Paulo Banchero, Desmond Bain, Scotty Barnes, Mikal Bridges, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, who should be on the team, Jimmy Butler, Alex Caruso, De'Aaron Fox, Paul George, Aaron Gordon, James Harden, no, Josh Hart, Tyler Herro, Chet Holmgren.
That would be fun to watch.
I mean, I feel like Chet Holmgren would be able to play international basketball better than anybody in the NBA.
I immediately thought that. I agree 100%.
So he makes perfect sense, but we're not going to play international basketball. We're going to play NBA basketball, and we're not going to win because we're just not capable of playing that game.
I think Jared Allen has had a fantastic season. It would have been fun to see him.
There are 5 names on this list that would be a better fit to play international basketball than LeBron James.
As far as playing, I'm maybe not as far removed from you as you might initially think. But there ain't no way you're leaving this guy off in his last potential Olympics, most likely. I mean, yeah, let's not kid ourselves. We know exactly what this is for. This is for the optics, right? Yeah. And for the eyeballs. And just my question is, how many minutes? I mean, he's going to.
How many minutes is he going to play?
How many minutes are you going to play? I mean, and a lot of this presumably.
Here's the problem. If he doesn't play, then what? If he doesn't play, does he go on and gripe about Steve Kerr not giving him minutes in the Olympics? Is he going to take the 10 minutes and be okay with it? You know, I'll be curious to see how this plays.
Me personally, I get the vibe that LeBron is going to go into this Olympics kind of as kind of embracing the old dog type role. And he wants, at least that's what I was thinking. But then when I see this roster, it's a little kind of a mishmash with guys like Durant and Curry. Embiid is going to be really interesting because a lot of folks are still saying that he is not fully healthy. And a lot of this obviously is going to depend on how deep of a run potentially some of these teams make in the playoffs, which begin technically tonight with the play-in games. I'm fascinated to watch Halliburton play. I think he is going to really potentially be in line for a breakout Olympics. But it's kind of just an odd roster. I could totally see LeBron taking the back seat and kind of just filling a little role when you need him to really just mash the gas.
Okay. And if that's what he does, then fine. He can play on this team. But my problem is I don't think that's what he's – I don't think that LeBron's going to do that. Now, that may be because Michael Jordan wouldn't have done that. There's zero chance Michael Jordan at any point would have been like, okay, I'm just going to chill over here and be the wise man on the bench. That would have never happened. So if that is how LeBron takes it and that's how he approaches this, well, there's 2 things that can be said. Number 1 is you got to be impressed by LeBron's ability to do that, and willingness to provide his veteran leadership and insight to the national team.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, he ain't got that dog in him. At least not anymore. I mean, obviously he's nearly 40 years old, man. I mean,
one quick note, by the way, this is from SB Nation. It's worth pointing out he did put up his highest 3-point percentage of his career.
I think everybody shot well this year.
All right, fine. There you go, trying to poke holes.
I don't know. It just felt like there was a lot bigger 3-point. But hey, to be able to shoot it that far, that well at his age, you got to give him credit. For sure.
And Curry and LeBron playing together in the Olympics finally together, I think is going to be
that's huge.
I mean, that's just going to be fun. And you hope
It's all about the ratings, baby.
You hope, obviously, that USA obviously wins this gold, but I'm of the camp. Yeah, I want USA to win, but I really want to see entertaining games more than anything. And I'd love to really have seen, man, Bain being kind of not even in the mix really kind of stings a little bit. I'm with you there. Even a guy like a Duncan Robinson would have been kind of fun to watch on a stage like this.
By the way, Duncan Robinson has to be the greatest name for an NBA player ever, right? I mean, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, it's perfect.
Jam them together. Anthony Edwards could be electric in this thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're all just salivating thinking about the opportunity of Edwards trying to go against Wemby if they were to somehow end up playing each other and go for one of those sick dunks that he's thrown down this year. I think Halliburton, to me, is going to be the guy that I'm going to be the most fascinated to watch. And you mentioned Drew Holiday. He had a big role on that team when they won it in 20, aka 21, over in Tokyo. So this kind of got dropped on me. And so, again, it's just kind of interesting that it's already so seemingly ironclad except for that one spot. And isn't it funny that Kawhi Leonard is the one guy that they're kind of basically – the spot is pretty much promised to? Does that not feel like the one guy that is going to leave you potentially hanging until the very last minute? I mean, Kawhi is the type of guy just, hey, you know what? I'm cool not going this year. Well, it'd have been nice to know that 2 weeks ago, Kawhi, or 2 months ago.
This is a
the good news is, and if Embiid is healthy, which I'm almost the agreement with a lot of folks chatting on the internet that he's not back. He's certainly not back to where he was in the middle of the season this year when he's playing at MVP level. Maybe he smooths some injury issues out over the postseason if they have a little run. But he will be fun to watch. I just enjoy the fact that they changed the rules up a little bit. The international game is kind of a fun kind of departure of what we get to watch on a day-to-day basis.
And the guys overseas play a little bit more. Especially when you're playing in the Olympics, they play a little more passionately, a little more.
Yeah.
It means something. Kind of like the in-season tournament. And, that helped spur ratings earlier this year with the in-season tournament and folks watching the NBA, folks showing up to the NBA. The NBA set a new attendance record. 71% of their games sold out this year and an average of attendance of 18,322 fans per game. It's pretty dadgum impressive. And I think if you take Detroit out of that, the number goes up drastically.
Yeah, a seismic shift if you remove the Pistons from there. We mentioned it earlier. 2 games tonight. The 7-8 game and the 9-10 game in the West. Lakers and Pelicans will tip off at 6:30 on TNT. That is your 7-8 game down in New Orleans, and then the Warriors-Kings tonight in the 9-10 game. And that's the elimination game, if I remember correctly. So one of those two is going to be eliminated tonight. Warriors are a small favorite on the road, again, going to Sacramento, which I heard this, by the way, on the drive up to Columbia today. Sacramento has not won a playoff series in 20 years. And I'm a Grizzlies fan. But there was a point in my life, thanks to Chris Webber and Jason Williams, that I was a massive Kings fan in my formative years growing up. And it makes me feel old, number one, but it also, you kind of scratch your head and you think, it has been a while. So the Kings got to win that one tonight before they can even think about potentially winning and getting into a playoff. How about this, by the way? Final note on tonight's games. This is courtesy. These are coming from ESPN. Warriors Kings going to cost you a minimum $115 to get into Sacramento tonight. On the other side of the equation, even though the Lakers are playing, the cheapest get-in price for the Pelicans game tonight, you can get in for as little as $18.
Crap, can we get to know New Orleans before then?
Chip was just talking last week about taking the train ride down there, so maybe we go down and take the Amtrak down to New Orleans, get in the Smoothie King tonight.
I don't think we can get there on the Amtrak fast enough.
Right.
We need to get on the
Main Street private jet and scoot on down there. NBA action tonight will certainly be fun. As advertised a moment ago, Chris, give us a quick update. We meant to include this on Monstars yesterday. This will be a final shout out before we get into our Top 5 Tuesday.
Top 5 Tuesday is most disappointing championships. One of the we'll keep it here, Mark. One of the championships, however, that was not disappointing in any way, shape, form, or fashion was on Saturday night, going to the final, the 7th and final Baker match. Arkansas State, Jacksonville State, winner take all in bowling for the national championship. And the championship did go, in fact, to the Gamecocks, who had a heck of a run all season long, #1 in the country in their first ever year. Their first ever season as a bowling team.
Inaugural season.
The inaugural season, national champs. That is what we call, sir, announcing your presence with authority.
And by the way, yes, certainly. And that reminds me, did we not just talk to Greg Seitz at the Glass House a couple of weeks ago in Murfreesboro? And he said, hey, be on the lookout for our bowling program, that they're doing well this year.
They are fantastic. And I'll tell you, it's well done. So, all right, let's shall we? Let's keep it here and just go right into Top 5 Tuesday, presented by friends at Mid-South 5 Fitness. It's Dallas Steel at Steel Athletes on Instagram, steelathletes.com, STEEL, as you can see there on your screen. I will defer to you for pick number 1.
Well, number 1, that is mighty kind. And Chris, I got to do this. This is a game that I remember being pretty excited to watch, like most of these championship games, but I was not really tuned in very long because in 1996, #1 Nebraska.
Oh my God.
Absolutely throttled Florida. 35-10, they led at halftime. Your final score that night was 62-24, and they absolutely clobbered the Gators, which was at the time was a really good Florida Gator squad. But Nebraska over Florida, my first pick for a dud of a championship game.
My number 1, we'll go to the 2011 BCS championship. LSU had beaten Alabama earlier that year, 6-3 or 9-6 or something like that. It was ridiculous. Did you happen to see Ole Miss doing their spring game, like whatever they did, but they painted half the field with so between they did a 50-yard field, and then the other half of the 50, the first 10 yards was an end zone. And someone said that was the field that LSU was playing on in 2011 championship.
Ouch.
They didn't even cross midfield. At no point crossed midfield. So Alabama destroying them in 2011. That's my number 1.
Man, that is a good one. Along those same lines, I'm going to go with Alabama. And the ESPN headline is a little more humble than what really I thought occurred on the night of January 8, 2013. Alabama scores 42 and Notre Dame scores 14. But they scored 14 in the second half, and really it was just an absolute runaway. And I will never forget this. I was working Martin Methodist still at the time. We had a women's basketball game, and I won't shout out the coach that scheduled this random non-conference game for a Monday night, but I was so disappointed that I couldn't get home to watch what I thought was going to be a pretty good game. And by the time I got home, the game was over. Alabama wins at 42-14. If I recall correctly, that's also the Manti Te'o game. And there was so much buzz about Notre Dame. I personally didn't think Notre Dame was that great that season. And it kind of bore out that way as Alabama just clobbered Notre Dame 42-14.
Derrick Henry.
And
right?
Derrick Henry.
Eddie Lacy, Derrick Henry, everybody scored.
Eddie Lacy, A.J. McCarron was 20 of 28 for 264 yards and 4 touchdowns. Amari Cooper had 6 catches, 105, and 2 touchdowns. And then, Eddie Lacy ran for 140 yards and a touchdown. They absolutely throttled Notre Dame that night.
No doubt. Let's go to the 2004 World Series.
Come on.
After the Red Sox, just all the dramatics of coming back to beat the Yankees 3-0, get to the World Series, and it was like it was barely even a blip. I'd forgotten who they'd even played that year because it was such a boring 4-0 sweep of the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, seriously, you go back and you think about the Yankees series and them being down 3-0 and they win 4 straight, and there was just all the excitement, and then it was just great for them to kind of get over the curse that year. But other than that, there was no dramatics.
No.
It was like Boston was clearly the better team in that World Series, and it was not going any other way.
Exactly what you said. I remember being as a neutral observer, the Yankees are the evil empire. The Red Sox come back and knock them off. I was so pumped for them. If you're worried about a letdown after such a big performance in the ALCS that year, no letdown. They absolutely whitewashed the Cardinals there, and just what a dominant performance. You were right about that. Like you said, I kind of forgot who they even played there.
I just had to look it up.
Similar vein, I still have the Sports Illustrated cover of this one, 1995 Super Bowl, 49ers and Chargers. And the score is not going to sound that bad, but it was 49-26, and Steve Young just did whatever he wanted as the 49ers just clobbered the Chargers that year.
Who was the Chargers quarterback?
Was that Natron Means, maybe?
Natron Means was a linebacker. Running back. And I want to say it was Neil O'Donnell their quarterback? I don't remember who the quarterback was for that Chargers team. But I was probably rooting for the Chargers at that point, if I had to guess.
Low key, I probably was too, if nothing for else, the uniforms.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Stan Humphries, your QB.
Humphries, there you go. Gosh. How about we stay in 95? Because it was a crappy year for championships, except for the Major League World Series when the Atlanta Braves won it. That was definitely not disappointing in any way, shape, form, or fashion. NBA Finals, though. Nick Anderson misses 4 free throws in Game 1 against the Houston Rockets, and the Rockets take that momentum and sweep the Orlando Magic 4-0, and Horace Grant just looking appalled.
And we're running thin on time here. Give me this topic kind of was spurred by the Masters talk. How about the 2000 U.S. Open? What if I told you Tiger Woods won the tournament by 15 shots? 15 shots.
15. There was no competition. They shouldn't even shown up.
Ernie Els and Miguel Angel Jimenez finished, like I said, a distant 15 shots behind Tiger Woods in the 2000 U.S. Open.
My number 4, 103-73. UNLV and the Running Rebels over America wins when Duke loses.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't happy hearing you bring that. That brings a tear to my eye in terms of happiness. Just getting that one out of the way. While I'm on a little bit of a golf heater, I'll close this out. Guess who? Tiger Woods. And this is all you need to know about Tiger Woods. We talked about him winning by 15 at the U.S. Open in 2000. He wins the 97 Masters. His announcement to the world that everybody better watch out. He wins it by 12 shots over Tom Kite. Tiger shot a 270 for the weekend, Kite finishing 12 shots behind him. But everybody tuned in, even though Tiger was so dominant in these runs, and that's what made him so special, and that's what we talked about with Virgil on the show yesterday. Tiger Woods, 97 Masters.
Well, my number 5, one of the reasons we talked about this is because of UConn.
Yep.
And their win this past, or 2 weeks ago. 2011, they did the same thing when they kind of ran Butler out of the gym with a 53-41 win, and so they'll be my number 5. 2011 UConn National Championship.
I tell you what, when UConn wins,
they pretty much let you know early.
Yeah. There's not much drama in terms of UConn championship men's basketball history over the years. We're going to post these on socials. Make sure you check out Top 5 Tuesday and vote and let us know which ones you think were best, or drop any submissions that we might have missed into our comments. Chris, real quick for tomorrow.
It's going to be Heather Williams talking NASCAR and whatever else. I don't remember. We do have something. We'll see you guys then.
Hey, we got something coming up. Don't worry. This has been Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. We'll catch you next time. See you tomorrow, and enjoy your Tuesday.